Hi guys, today we are going to be start with the encapsulation. So encapsulation is nothing but it is a concept in the um, Java where it is going to hiding the unimplemented variables. I can say that it is binding of data and methods that operates on the data with a single unit. So example of capsule. So in the capsule, we having the different elements in that capsule and which is going to binding it as a single. So inside there are the lot of materials we having, and with the help of that materials what we are going to do means it is going to be showing as a single unit. So it is a binding of variables, and I can say that it is a binding of variables as well as the methods, so that it can be showing as a one unit in the Java. So encapsulation is a way of hiding the implementation's details of the class from the outside access. So it is hiding the unimplemented access and it is showing only uh, as an interface. I can say that as a public interface that can be accessed and interact with the class. So encapsulation is achieved by declaring the instance variables. So we having the instance variables. So what is instance variable here? Instance, whatever the variables we have declared as a primitive variables are called as a instance variables. So these instance variables are going to be create as a private variable. So which we can be accessed inside the class only. Okay, first we will see what is instance. So instance variables. So we have seen that variables we having the primitive variables, non-primitive variables. In that one, instance variables are defined in the class, but it can be accessed outside the variables like global variables. So we have seen that global variables like it can be used in the constructor. So in the constructors we have called, within the class constructors we have called with this operators. Outside the construction other classes constructor we have used super classes, and each instance of the class it has its own copy of their variables. So whenever I have shown you, I have declared a variable in the constructor program. We have created a constructor program. In that constructor program what I have did, I have created a local variable as a string name, as well as I have created a method public constructor. I have created a class constructor string name I have created. So here also we are going to be creating like that, which having its own copy. So here the name having its copy, I can say that. So what are the characteristics of declaring the instance variable? So instance variable we can declare uh, class first thing. So declaration of instance variable, where we can declare the instance variable declared inside a class. Means they can declare within the class, but outside methods and constructors we can use it. Each object has its own copy. So what we can say that we can use a static. Each object has its own copy. Means what we have did in the constructor we have discussed. So copying the static variables, so each object gets its own copy of instance variable, so that it can, so the value can be used anywhere. So this one I have declared as a outside, this one I have declared as a global variable. I can say that this one I have declared as a global variable. So I can access this variable in this class. Whenever I'm passing it as a static, I can use it or I can use it outside. So initialization, to the default variable. So next point, initialization. So where we have initialized, so explicitly we can call that variable anywhere. So we will see one program on this one. In the encapsulation only we can see the programs. So we will back to the encapsulation. So in encapsulation, we are going to be declaring, which means we can be access the class that allows the outside of the instance variable public methods can use. So whenever we having the public method, that methods we can use with the getter and setter methods. So encapsulation. So if you want to implement the encapsulation, you have to use with getter and setter. So um, Ge- getter is not setter is nothing but setting the value. Whatever the value we want to set, that value we can set. Getter is not nothing but what value we have set it, we can retrieve that value, which we can be used to retrieve and modify the variables of the instance respectively. By using the getter and setter, that class can be forced its own variables. So how we can use this one, we will see this one. So how the encapsulation will work means, first private variables we can declare it. So what is mean by private variable? Which can be accessed within the class. Which can be accessed within a class only. So we can't able to call that one outside the class. So we cannot directly use outside of the class. I can say that as we know that I have given you example like public access specifier, private access specifier, protected access specifiers. So public means and they can make a call. Private means which we can use like our mobile phones, which we can use for our personal things. And protected is nothing but a landline phone which I can use, my family members can be used. So we can use another how where we can use means public getter and setter. We have seen setter methods we can implement. So providing the public method to access and update the private variables that allows us to control uh, the access. So which allows us to control the access on that variables. So getter means what? Getter retrieves the values of variables and setter will update them. So whatever the value we have set it, so we have to update them. So what is the benefit of using encapsulation? So we are good with the other concepts in the we having the interfaces, we having the abstraction class, we having the interfaces. So why we are going to use the encapsulation? So as I told you, so whatever the components is there, so I'm having the lot of components. So for example, I have to cold, I have to take one tablet. For headache, I have to take another tablet. For cough, I have to take another tablet. Fever, I have to take the tablet. So four tablets I have to take it. So if I'm having a one tablet which will cure all this problem, so I will take that tablet. So here also, what is the benefit is main benefit, whatever the data we having. So there is a lot of confusion with the data. So what we can do, we can hide the data by restricting that access to that variable. You can protect the data for unwanted change. Suppose I want to I don't want to make any changes in the particular data. Suppose the account number is there for the banking application. If you use incremental operator for the account, what happen? It will be increased by the one. The account number is going to be changed. So you don't want to make any changes to that type of data. You can use the encapsulation, and m- and it is which is more flexible. We can change the internal implementation without affecting the other part of the code. So we don't want to make heavy code, confusion code. So it is easy to implement and it is easy to control also. How it is easy to control? By using the setup method, you can uh, control the variables or access modifiers. So we will create a method. I will create a person class which I can declare some variables so that I can use. I will create a simple class here. So here for interfaces, we are going to be creating a separate interface method. For encapsulation, there is a no, we can create in the separate class. So what is the main advantages here? Data binding, data binding. And another advantage is what we can use here. We can create whatever the private variables we having. We can use that private variables in the methods by using the uh, get and set methods, getter and setter methods. We can implement that one. So here what I want to do is, here I'm going to be declaring um, a person name and age, for example. So what I have to create, that variables I'm going to be creating as a private variables. Name, and I'm going to be private name I have created private age. So age is an integer type. So I want to create age as an integer type. So I have used one integer type and one string type. So this one inside the main method. So how I am going to declare this one as a global variables. Okay, have declared as a global variables. Just I have not declared as a global variables. If I want to make it as a global variable, what I have to do? I have to make a static one. So I'm not making it as a static one. Just I'm going to be creating here one method called as a public setting of values. I can get it. Uh, I can set the getter values, setter and getter values. First, what I want to do, I want to set the values. So to set the values, what I want to do, I'm making it as a public void. I'm going to creating a method which is binding the uh, data and method. So here, what method I have to use? So I want to set a name I'm going to be setting the name. So name is a string type. So I'm setting the name type. This this dot name equals to, I'm going to be set by the name. So similarly, I have to use the get method. So public void get name. So what I want to get here, I want to get the name. So I'm just, it is a return type. I can use the return type. Why? Because here I have used only single variable. So single string value. So I can use this dot return. What I have to return? Name I have to return. So here I have written the name. Similarly, I can uh, I can use it for the, what happened? Wait, so why it is asking me? I have used void. So void will not return any value. So I have to make it as a string. Okay. So next one, what I have to do similarly, I have to use it for age also. You want to use for the age also, you can use uh, int get age. I have created first get age. So return, what I have to return? Age I have to return. So which I have declared in this class. So this one I have, for this one also I have to set it. First I have not set this value. Public set age int age. How I can set this dot age equals to age. So this dot age. So in main, how I am going to call? I have to bind here. So basically, I have to create the object instance. P equals to new. Okay. So here what we are going to, we have set it the values. So for that values, what we have to do, we have to, first one, we have to set the values. So when we set the values, we can able to uh, get the values. So setter getter methods. So this is a, this one I have to print it. This one I need to print it. This one I want to display, to say. To display this one, I have to set, I have to pass this set value. So how I can pass this set value? EP dot, what I can do, set name. So what name I can write it? Mm, some Johnny on I can write it. Um, age also I need to set it. Set age 45. I want to set it. So these values I want to print. So what I can do? System dot out dot println. I want to print name plus ep dot get name. Similarly, system dot out dot println age ep dot get age. So I have used within the class only. I can use outside the class also. So here it has displayed. So you can use like this and you can print the values, whatever the age values you have used it. You can call it within the class. You can call it outside the class. If you want to do any other methods, if you want to create another method like person location or person account number, something which having a numbers, you can use that one and you can call it anywhere in that class. So this is all about the encapsulation. So in the hoops concept, we have discussed all the topics related to concept. So in the hoops concept, we have discussed about the classes, we have discussed about the interfaces, we have discussed about the interfaces, we have discussed about in abstractions, we have discussed about the interfaces. So these the topics which we are going to be used in the Java hoops concepts. Okay, next topic we will discuss about the encapsulation. So exceptions. So what is exceptions? Exception is nothing but a error which is coming at the runtime is nothing but the exceptions. So in Java we having the different types of exceptions. We having the hierarchical of exception, the scenario where we can use that exception. So what is the advantages of exceptions? Why we need to use the exception? So how to handle that exception? Suppose I am searching for a file, that file, I'm not aware that file is available in that rack or not. So at that time, if the file is found, if the file is found, okay. If the file is not found, it has to throw the exception. So to handle that type of things, we are going to be using the exceptions. So exception is nothing but abnormal actions which is occurred at the runtime. So exception is a problem that raised during the execution of the program. An exception can occur for many different reasons. What are the main reasons? Uh, I'm searching, I have divided a number by 0. A number can't divide it by a 0. So which is incorrect. I want to divide it in 2 by 10, but I have given as a 2 by 0, which is going to be throwing the exception. The file that need to be open, some network issue I'm facing it, so at that time I can use this exceptions. Exceptions mainly used to handle the problems. Like in the simple words I can say that exception is nothing but handling the problems at the runtime. Suppose um, suppose we are running any program at that time, we got some uh, issues, so that issues can be handled by the exception. So how it is going to be handled means, we having the different types of exceptions, checked error exceptions and unchecked error exceptions in the Java. So what is checked error exceptions means? Checked error exception, the class that has extended the throwable class at the runtime. So we having the hierarchical, so which throws the error. So basically checked error exceptions which can be checking at the early stage. So suppose if I want to write um, something, write it as a complete. Here it is. Sometimes it will be show in the red color. See here. So it is showing in the red color. So which I want to uh, make it correct. So it is giving the suggestions. I can add the suggestions. If not, I can ignore. See here. So it is giving the suggestions, so I can implement the suggestions and I can use. So unchecked error means it is occurring at the runtime. So suppose if I have divided a number by 0, so which is not dividable a number by 0. So that type of the type of errors we are going to be calling as a unchecked error exceptions. So we having different types of exceptions in the Java. So object is going to be throwing the exceptions and errors. So errors can be handled. So errors are nothing but the checked error exceptions which we can be corrected. So exception, runtime error exception. In the runtime error exceptions, we having different types of exceptions: input output error exceptions, SQL exception, file not found error exceptions. In arithmetical exceptions, we having array index out of bound error exceptions, null point error exceptions, class cascading error exception, index out of bound error exceptions. We having different types of exceptions here. So what is the main advantages of these exceptions? So which allows us to uh, handle and maintain the normal flow of the program. Suppose if we got the error, we having the 10 lines of code. I will create one program for exception. Hello. So here what I'm doing, 2 by, sorry. So I want to execute these 10 statements, but here it is not showing me any error. And if I execute it, what happened with it will stop my execution flow. Where I got a error, it will stop at that particular point at the line number 12. I'm having some error. So it has executed the started line, it has executed the hello, it has executed the welcome, it has executed exception, it has not printed a print a, and it has not end my program. So here, why? Because I got a error. What type of error I got? Java language arithmetical error exception. I got this exception. It is dividing a number by 0, so which is not possible in the Java. So this type of flow, so what it is doing, my flow is going to be stopping at this particular point. So that's why we need to handle these exceptions. So to handle these exceptions, we are going to be using the exception handling mechanism. So exception handling mechanism, where we can we can use it exception handling mechanism. First we will see what are the types in the checked error exceptions, what are the types in the non-checked error exceptions. So I have told you. So error is nothing but which we can handle it. So here in the exception runtime error exceptions, input output exceptions, we having the two types of error exceptions. So in these two types of error exceptions, I'm telling that I can say that exceptions checked exceptions, unchecked exceptions. So what will come under the checked error exceptions? What will come under the input output exceptions? So input output error, this error input output exceptions. So whenever I'm giving some input, I'm uh, getting some other output. So it is called as a checked error exceptions. So suppose I have given 2 by 8, 2 by 2. I want to get the result as 0, but I'm getting some other values. So it is a checked error exception. So which I can check it and I can correct it. So here we having the SQL exception. So SQL exception, whenever we pass the query wrong, at that time we will get this type of error. Parse parse int exception. So I have want to convert, I have created a string variable, but I'm adding that value which I have not converted that value. So at that time we will get this error, and class not found error exception. Whenever I want to have a class, so that class is not declared. For example, if we have used other name for that class, so at that time we will get unchecked error exceptions. Exceptions. So unchecked error exceptions is nothing but the runtime error exceptions. So runtime error exceptions basically null point error exception. Suppose here I have created a string. String is equals to null. I have declared. So what I want to do here, system.out.println s.length I want to find out. So I want to find out its length. So what it will do? It will throw exceptions. Why? Because after welcome, what it is giving, it is I can't able to find its length. So its length is 0. I have declared its length as a 0, but I am trying to find its length. So which is not possible. Array index out of bound error exception. So array index out of bound error exceptions, what have declared a array int a of 5, have declared it. I want to print system. I have not declared it. So I want to print a of 5. So which is going to be throw the errors. So why? Because it will not print the 5 value. It will stop at the index 4 only. And another one, arithmetical error exception, illegal argument exceptions. So we having the different types of exceptions. We can see that one later. So this is the exceptions. Where to handle these exceptions, what we have to do, we can use some basic, or we can use uh, we can use these 5 keywords which will handle this exception. try, catch, finally, throw, throws. So try is nothing but whatever the risk is there, that risk I'm going to be handled by the try. So catch is nothing but I can handle that risk by using the catch. And finally is a block, I can say that, which is going to execute where there is a risk, where there is a no risk is there. Throw is nothing but it is going to be throwing a single exceptions. Throws is nothing but it is going to be throwing the multiple exceptions. So I want to handle this one. Suppose here I have, so, so here I'm having a number which is divided by 0. So I want to handle this exception. So how I can handle this exceptions means I can use a try block here. So in try block, whatever the risk is there, that risk I have handled. So that risk part I want to handle with the catch block. So whatever the risk part is there, that one I will comment this one also. So that one is handled. See here, it has not stopped my execution of the program. So whatever the error is there, that error is handled by this try catch block. And it has printed, it has execute my complete flow till the end of the program it has executed. So I will put in the debug mode and I will show you how it is handled. So first it has started the program, then it was printed the hello, it was printed the welcome, it goes to the exception. So where exception is going to be handled by the exceptions, and it is going to be through in this exception. It is going to be handle this exception and it is printed, and I have given the new line and it has printed that line and it has ended my program. So like this we have to execute the complete program. Okay. So this is how we are going to be handling the exceptions. So we can handle the exceptions by multiple catch blocks also. I want to handle the multiple catch block. So this is the, if I use this one, I can't able to handle in a exception is nothing but all type of exceptions it is going to be handled. So here you can see we have the different types of exceptions. So now what is the type of error exceptions? We having the two different types of exceptions. You can have n number of types of exceptions. So if I want to execute whatever the specific type of exceptions I want, it will execute that specific type of exception only. See. So here I'm having, it will check whether we want to execute that type of exceptions or not. See, I'm running in the debug mode. So it has started, it has executed, it is checking, it is going to the try block, which else block I want to, which catch block I want to go, it will execute that catch block and it will execute the complete statement. Okay, like this we can handle the exceptions. Okay guys, tomorrow we will discuss more on the exception handling. Thank you guys.